This is Ralph Michaels, and I'm breaking down two NBA videos. Thank you for taking the time to watch this on Thursday, January the 9th. I know we're thinking about the college football playoffs, but a lot of great NBA value. This first game, an 8-0 trend that is covered by 15.1 points per game. I'm talking about Atlanta and Phoenix. Now listen, we know that when you think about Atlanta, you think about overs. You think about the Suns, you think about underachieving. Atlanta had a 3-game losing streak. They snapped that against the Jazz. If you didn't see that highlight, Young with a half-court buzzer beater to give the Hawks a 124-120 win against Utah in their last game. Phoenix, to me, is the most understood NBA team with the talent they have. For them to be on the stretch they are is absolutely amazing to me. You look at the Suns, they've lost 5 of 6 games. They're 2-8 the last 10, coming off a road loss to the Charlotte Hornets. The Suns got 39 points from Devin Booker and 26 from Durant, but they just went 8 of 33 from three-pointers. That's 24%, and they lost the second of back-to-back nights. The Suns started the season 9-2 straight up. They still struggled against the spread, going 4-7 ATS. But since that time, as I said, playing very poorly despite having all their pieces together now, 7-17 straight up, 8-16 against the spread. They do have some strife. We're talking about some benchings, and are people going to request trades? And I just can't back a team that is not playing with any continuity, and that really is the definition of the Phoenix Suns at this time. But one thing I do want to point out is this. Again, whenever I'm looking at the Hawks, I always think over. They're over 70% to the over on the season. And when they're an away favorite, they're very strong. But as an away dog or pick, they're only 8-6 against the spread. And while they're 25-11 over under 69.4% on the season, when they're a favorite or a small dog, listen to this, they're 18-1, 90%. But guess what? They are not an away favorite, and they are not a small dog. When they're a dog of 2 or more, they're 7-9 over under. But more importantly, in their last 11 games as a dog of a basket or more, 3 overs, 8 unders, and those unders have gone under by 10.1 points per game. Now we talk about the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns offense has truly struggled. In their last 8 games, they've topped 50% once, and that was at Philadelphia. Their last game against Charlotte, they shot 42%. At Indiana, not a good defensive team, 48%. Memphis, 46%. Golden State, 42%. And 36% against Dallas. While their offensive continuity may be lacking, the defensive continuity has been solid. Over the last 5 games, one opponent has shot over 43%, and that was the Indiana Pacers on the road, shot 48%. Those other 4 foes are averaging 39% shooting against this Suns defense. When you look at Phoenix, since December 22nd, they are 0-8 over-unders. So 8 unders, 0 overs. Those unders have gone under the total by 15.1 points per game. While this originally did not make my card as a client release, I am still evaluating that perhaps I add this play. That's how much I do like the under for Atlanta and Phoenix. I got some great trends for the second game. We're going to break down the Orlando Magic and the Minnesota Timberwolves. If you liked the first video, please smash that like button, give us a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe so anytime a WagerTalk video gets loaded, you will get notified immediately. Now let's look at our second game, Minnesota at Orlando. Minnesota 5.5, a total 202, 2 or 2.5. The last win the Magic had against New York could be the most remarkable win I've seen this year. The Magic were without Banchero, without Jalen Suggs, without Franz Wagner, and without Mo Wagner, and they beat the Knicks 103-94. And what do they do in that game? They shoot 50% for the first time in 15 games, and they hold their first opponent to under 45% in their last 5 games. A remarkable game as a 12-point underdog, winning that 103-94. Minnesota is another team that's underachieved. I just talked about the Phoenix Suns. Minnesota, not quite as bad, but man, you look at their runs. They did beat New Orleans. They played a good game in the last game. They held New Orleans to 37.2%. Prior to that, they beat the Clippers by 2 as a 2.5-point favorite. They failed to cover, only shooting under 45%. Prior to that, they lost to Detroit, Boston, and OKC. So in the last 5 games, they've played one good game, and that was against an injury-depleted New Orleans Pelicans squad on the road. When I look at the Magic, they have reasons to be positive. You know, they knocked off Miami back in the end, late December. They knocked off Boston late December. They went to Toronto and they won at the Knicks. Yes, there's some losses, some ugly losses against Utah as a favorite, against Brooklyn as a favorite. But again, they're in this dog role now, which they seem to prefer. But when I look at these two teams and talk about what's going to happen during the end of the season, let me point out what these starters have done. Minnesota's top 7 scorers this year, all 7 have played all 36 games. That's remarkable. We're talking no injuries at all, and yet they're underachieving. You look at their starters. 4 starters started all 36 games, and Mike Conley started 30 of those games. So only 5 individual starts are missing for the entire T-Wolves team. Let's look at the Magic. I talked about what they did against the Knicks and who was missing. Banchero, 80 starts last year. He's made 5 this year. There's a chance he comes back tonight. They might rest him and wait to play Milwaukee in 2 days. We'll see what happens. Franz Wagner, 72 starts last year, only 25 this year. Jalen Suggs has missed the last few games. 75 starts last year, 34 this year. And when you look at the Magic, you can understand their struggles. 13 players have started games for the Orlando Magic this year. Folks, that's an incredible number. Your entire bench, basically every person has started. But when I do look at this team, I do like the under as well. Orlando, 4 straight unders. Again, they have not topped 50% since November. They did reach 50% against New York. You look at what Minnesota has done. Minnesota, back-to-back unders as they allowed 41.6 and 37.2%. Edwards has been the only offensive go-to guy in this situation. Orlando, to me, is clearly a play-on team moving forward. Keep your eye on them. But in this matchup tonight, Orlando as the home dog, having a lot to play for with players returning around the corner. They're going to have a defensive effort. The T-Wolves defense will show up as well, and I do like under the total. Again, thank you for taking the time to watch these 2 videos. Please do give us a thumbs up, smash that like button, enjoy your Thursday night, and sit back, relax, and enjoy the college football playoffs the next 2 evenings.